Today, I'm going to talk about one mental shift that makes any life decision effortless. It has to do with waking up to how we currently make our decisions. In other words, are you inadvertently sophisticated sleepwalking through the decisions you make, or are you fully awake? We think of it as normal to be stressed out when going through major life changes. And as far as we've been conditioned, that's true. Deciding whether or not to take a job, move in with a partner, sign that contract, get a divorce, results in thoughts like, oh my God, what if it doesn't go well? And before we know it, our nervous system takes us down to a van down by the river in no time flat. So how do we normally combat all of these nerves about the fear of making the wrong decision? Well, we write pros and cons lists. We take the temperature of everybody we know that will listen to us and see what they think. We research. I'll never forget the time that I asked my best friend one too many times if she thought my then boyfriend, now ex-husband, was cute. She said, "Abby, do you think he's cute?" I should have caught on then to look inside for the answer rather than outside. But honestly, at the time, I probably would have told you something like, I can't tell how I feel. What if I think I feel one way, but I'm wrong? And at that time, I definitely thought it was going to be my only chance. So none of it mattered anyway. Before I go into the one mental shift to make effortless decisions, let's admit that due to our conditioning and our autonomic nervous system, it can be very difficult to determine what we really want sometimes. The voice of our higher self, the all-knowing self, gets buried under nervous system noise. So if the pros are a longer list, or all of the people that we asked feel one way, we can go headlong into a decision believing that we're heading in the right direction. But remember, who created that pros list? It was the fearful, egoic, smaller self. So oftentimes after days or years, we see that our motivation for the choice that we made was anything but authentic. Maybe that fear-driven voice believed that it would look good to do X instead of Y. Maybe it felt fraudulent or was trying to belong or do another person's bidding. So that's what I mean by sophisticated sleepwalking. We convince ourselves that we're being purposeful and intentional when in reality, a fearful, egoic part just took over and made the decision for us. So what do? Yes, there are techniques and tools to plug into a deeper knowing. You can check in with your energy centers. Is there a tension in your gut or a tightness in your chest? You can practice heart-focused breathing to regulate your nervous system. You can meditate on a decision for a few weeks before making it. I recommend that you do all of those things. But regardless of what you do or don't do, there's one fact that remains. There is more at work in our lives than our own free will and choice. Think of all the circumstances that had to converge just for you to be wherever you are right now. From your father meeting your mother, to that college professor that piqued an interest in the career that you went into, to the wrong turn you took that day that resulted in finding your favorite coffee shop. My point is that much is random, or one might say much is destined. We like to think that we're controlling everything, and our nervous system likes to freak us out, making us believe that everything is a life or death decision. But there are other forces at work. Not only do you have a conscious mind where you're making these conscious decisions, but you have a subconscious mind. And in addition to that, you have a superconscious mind. And that superconscious is overseeing everything that you do, every choice you make. It's going to give you a sign if you're going in the wrong direction. And if you miss that sign, it'll give it to you over and over and over again throughout your life, not to worry. Now, you may see that as, oh, I made the quote wrong decision. But it's just that your being needed to experience whatever you experienced in that quote wrong decision in order to learn the lesson or get the message. The mental shift that I'm circling here when it comes to making decisions is trust. Trust that there are no wrong decisions. What if every choice you made was the perfect choice for you in that moment? Maybe it was perfect because it turned out great. Or maybe it was perfect because you learned a significant lesson that will keep you in good standing, like don't overpromise or check in with yourself first before pleasing another person. Likely you have no idea why it happened if it felt, quote, wrong. But trusting that you had to have the experience takes the pressure off, making it easier to hear your higher self and listen to it in the future. Now, the truth is, I wasn't very attracted to my ex-husband, and that's a large part of the reason why it didn't work. However, the lessons I took from the entire experience landed me in the beautiful marriage I have now. And yes, of course, I could lament Why did I have to go through that? Maybe I could have met my husband earlier. Maybe I could be further along in my career if I hadn't taken a hiatus into financial advising, or whatever my mind wants to drivel on about. But I trust that it's not all up to me. It's my path, my journey. My soul, for whatever reason, didn't come down here to earth to learn that one thing about marriage the first time around. My stubborn little soul needed to go through what I went through to get where I am. And I am where I am because it's where I need to be. What if you trusted that you were exactly where you needed to be? And whatever decision you make is going to be the perfect decision for your evolution. So in sum, to make the perfect decision, you must understand that there are no bad ones. If you believe that if you feel good, it was the right decision, and if you feel bad, it was the wrong decision, that's a lot of pressure. And it also assumes that you're in control of everything. When making decisions, the first thing you must realize is that your immediate perceived outcome is not the message of right or wrong. The next thing to adopt is an attitude of trust, that your higher self is overseeing the whole deal. It's going to point you in the right direction that is right for you, if you're listening. And if you're not, you'll get it the next time. Hopefully. Now, if this message feels like hogwash to you, please delete and move on with your day. But if it rings true, or even if you can just wrap your head around it, it will make for a smoother ride as you navigate the multitude of decisions that life brings. Please share it with someone who is hemming and hawing to remind them to trust their inner knowing and trust it's not all on their shoulders. And while they're listening to it, dive into some other Monday Muse episodes. See you next time.